Welcome back to the Ascension Playground. My name's Ursie, and I'm ready to offer you the second part to my discussion around the houses with the astrological wheel. So part of our light language is learning about how to read houses. And so in the Star Seeds Galactic Astrology, there is a column that will show you where the connections are meeting in which house. And houses are like the stage set. So I've already run through houses 1 through 6. Now I'd like to go through house 7 through 12. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. Here it comes. Not that screen. Here, this screen. You can see I was looking at what the thought was as we go around the wheel. What kind of houses, what would the house look like in today's modern vocabulary? Okay, I'll run through in case you missed the first one. But the first house, I was looking at the house of self as like a department store window. Here I am. I'm in the window. Okay. The second house, for what you value, I looked at that as a white picket fence with a cottage. This is Taurus saying, I value. These are my possessions. The third house around the wheel is in Gemini, and this was about a little red schoolhouse because the third house is the stage set for early learning. It's how we communicate with our siblings and our cousins also included. The fourth house here is the house of home and family. And I thought of the image for the stage set to be like the Swiss Family Robinson's tree house, and the tree being the ancestral DNA family heritage. This is the stage set of your family. The fifth house going around the wheel is about creative self-expression. So I thought of a Shakespearean stage set in the park where the beam of light goes on and the actor comes out and saying, I express, this is who I am, but it's public expression. Okay, and then I went to the sixth house, the house of Virgo, with the work environment and health. And I thought of going to the gym. What would a gym look like with dumbbells and little speed cycles? Now we begin the second part talking about the houses in the seventh house of Libra, ruled by the planet Venus. Libra is the image of the two scales. It is about our one-on-one partnerships. This seventh house is the house of marriage. This is a house where it could be you and a business partner, you and your therapist. It's also the house that we look for in a partner. So in this case, the stage set for the seventh house, dun, 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 I thought of the stage set of the house looking like the steps of a church. People throwing rice and the couple is getting married because again, it's one-on-one deep relationships. Okay, and so again, it's in the house of Libra, ruled by Venus, the goddess of love. As we go through the chart, house number 8 is the house ruled by Scorpio with the planetary ruler, Pluto. This is the house, as you can read, of joint resources or other people's money. It's also the house of sex, intimacy, inheritances. This is a house that I would say the two words would be I transform. What I mean by that is it's not only sex, but it's death and rebirth. It's the only sign, Scorpio, in the whole zodiac that actually has 3 images. It's the scorpion, it's the eagle, and it's the phoenix. The phoenix really being the image of transformation. So at first I thought, well, is the stage set a graveyard? And I thought, because, you know, it is about death and rebirth. It's about mystery and the unknown. But I thought, I'd rather have it be the house of, here's my second option. I was up in Seattle and there was this beautiful little place in a museum where they had a whole room full of living butterflies. And so it's a whole garden full of butterflies. That's what I think I'm going to move toward instead of a graveyard, because the transformation of the caterpillar to the butterfly, and the butterfly is alive, is showing us this phoenix-like quality of transformation. And that's all about the house, the 8th house of I transform. Moving along and up the wheel, we move to the 9th house. The 9th house is the house of Sagittarius. And the planetary ruler is Jupiter. Jupiter is all about expansion. And this house is about our higher education. So where Gemini was about early education, this is higher ed. This is PhD. This is the philosopher. In the 9th house, we look at the big picture. It's where our beliefs, religion, the law, cultures reside. Sometimes you can look at a 9th house to find out if you'll be a writer or not. So Sagittarius and Jupiter also represent long distance travel. Kind of exciting. So what did I think for the house of the philosopher, for the house 9? Well, in the 1500s, this is back to the classical Renaissance period, there was a beautiful painting by Raphael, and it's of the philosophers on the steps of Athens. And I just love that image. And that's the stage set I would have, the philosophers on the steps of, let's say, the Parthenon. So the stage set is the Parthenon, and that's where all the high, lofty minds come and meet and share. Okay, so that was house 9, the philosopher. When we move to the 10th house, we're actually getting to the top of the chart. This 10th house is ruled by the sign of Capricorn, with the planetary ruler being Saturn. So Capricorn, the sea goat, it's all about step-by-step progression towards your goal, towards the highest level, let's say, of your career. Other attributes for the 10th house, it's your status, it's your public image, it's even your reputation, and it could be your position in the world. Where do you have authority? The 10th house of Capricorn. So what stage set would represent that? Well, at first I thought, oh, maybe a New York City skyscraper for career. But I think, better than career. I'm almost wondering if, let's see, 10th house. Yeah, I think I'll stick with the New York City skyscraper. There's where all the heights of your business acumen and New York. So let's leave it there. I think that for me feels right. Moving along the wheel, we have 2 more houses, the house 11 and the 12th house. In the 11th house, we have the ruler of the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus. So this is the house 11 where you find the friendship groups, your networks, your group associations. It's where it's called the house of humanitarianism. It's also the house where you find your hopes and wishes, your visions, your dreams. Uranus is very specific to this idea of suddenness. Could be sudden electrical genius. The thought goes bam and you've got it. So it's also the house where you might find, with a lot of planets in there, ET or non-earthbound civilization. So if you want to look at any type of alien connection, consider the 11th house. So that said, what kind of house would I create for a stage set for the 11th? And I got to tell you, all I kept thinking of is, when you go into a chat room, let's say on Zoom, and you have all those little faces and we can all talk and learn from each other and network. That's kind of the picture of the stage set. It'd be very much tied into the internet, which the 11th house is. It's our social media. So I'm going to call out the 11th house as an internet chat room. Okay, now we're finally all the way around the wheel and we get to the 12th house. We've had all these other experiences, 1 through 11, and now in the 12th house. It is ruled by the sign of Pisces, and the planetary ruler is Neptune. This is the house where our subconscious and our spirituality are in domain. It's our karma. A lot of times you can find afterlife aspects here in the 12th house. Part of this is about a devotion to higher ideals. It is also about overcoming our ghosts or the debts of our past. So karmic resolution and past lives here in the 12th house. It is a house of mystery. I like to think of it as the big ocean, because the sign of Pisces are two fish, one going one way, the other swimming in the opposite direction. The House of Pisces. What would be the stage set for the 12th house? What came to mind actually is an image of a submarine. The submarine, it's self-contained. It can go under the water. Neptune, Pisces is a water house. But it can plunge very deep in this big ocean. So it can stay hidden under the water, or it can put periscope up and see what's happening, or it can come to the top of the water. Well, what does all this mean? So we've gone through the whole 1st through 12th house. The House of Pisces is also the house of endings. So it's like you've made it all the way around, you've ended, and now it's time to begin again. But it's not necessarily circular, it's more spiralic. So as you go around, you do return to the same place, but not exactly, because you've made one revolution already around. So it's this idea of spiralic evolution with our human consciousness or our soul's journey. I know those are a lot of big words, but I had fun thinking about what would the houses look like. So let me see if I can check my notes and do a summary of the 7th through the 12th houses. See if you can remember too. Okay, the 7th house of Libra, that was all about one-on-one relationships, the house of marriage and one-on-one partnerships. So the image was of a church at the steps, leaving, married, with rice throwing. Okay, the 8th house. This is the house of death and rebirth. Oh yeah, and sex too. So that was going to be the house that was going to focus on transformation. And so instead of doing a graveyard, I chose to do a room at a museum, botanical garden filled with butterflies. They have already transformed. Okay, so that would be the 8th house of Scorpio. We then moved on to the 9th house. See if you can remember the 9th house. That's when I called up that image of Raphael's classical Renaissance painting of the philosophers on the steps, let's just say of the Parthenon. Okay, it's in Athens. Let's just say that is where the philosophers gather. This is a very high level, capital T, truth of the law, of religion, of higher truths. Then we move to the 10th house. Remember the 10th house, the top of the chart? Okay, this is the house of career and vocation. And the image for that stage set was going to be a New York City skyscraper. So this is the idea that Capricorn, step by step or floor by floor, you make it to the top of your career aspirations. Okay, it's your public self. The 11th house, the house of networking and communications and the internet. This stage set was, remember, it was going to be like a Zoom chat room because it's the internet and it's sharing through our associations and affiliations. Okay, it's our network. The 12th house, the house of Pisces and Neptune. This is the house of the occult and the subconscious. So what was going to be the subconscious in a water house? Nothing more than a submarine that can stay under the water or choose to periscope up and see or come all the way to the surface. So there you have it. Church steps, butterflies, the Parthenon, New York City skyscrapers, an internet chat room, and a submarine. There you go. Maybe I'll put a little composite collage together and share it in an upcoming visual chat. Okay, that's all I got for now. Thanks for listening and hope to see you next time on the Ascension Playground. Bye.